Good morning, guys. Today is day 16 of NTI. It's crazy to think we're at number 16. Hey, you only got one more day till spring break, so that's pretty good news. All right, so if you've been doing your ready lessons with, kind of at the rate you should be almost done with your reading lessons. I know for some of us that maybe it's a little bit confusing or hard to work on right now. So I was going to actually read a couple of the stories to you. The first one being History of Television, and then the next one, Should We Watch TV? Remember we're comparing and contrasting two texts. So I was just going to do that while I kind of mind this big long tunnel. And that way I can focus more on the reading and less on the playing. Alright, the first story is called History of Television by Marcus Fink. And that is in your book on page 328. David Sarnoff had an idea. If sound could travel over the radio, why couldn't pictures? In 1939, he showed the world it was possible. Broadcast television was born. No one person can claim that he or she invented television. People in several countries were inventing it about the same time. But even though television was invented, there was a catch. No one knew what to do with it. Sarnoff did, and he knew where to introduce it. In 1939, Sarnoff showed the first television broadcast at the New York World Fair. People crowded around the tiny sets to watch the black and white pictures. The first show was of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who gave a speech. That same year, television sets went on sale. The first ones were small, only about 5 inches by 12-inch screen. A 5-inch by 12-inch screen. So I want you to think about, before we read more, think about how big that actually is. 12 inches, that's a foot, so that's about the length of your forearm or the size of your foot. And then 5 inches is, half of that. It's a little, 6 would be exactly half, but just kind of for a rough estimate, so you've got a TV screen the size of your foot or the size of your forearm, and then half of it again. So that's going to be a pretty small rectangular TV set. Television companies began showing programs. In 1939, the first baseball game was put on TV. Stations began to broadcast news shows, children's shows, comedies, and dramas. Today there are hundreds of channels and many more kinds of programs. The number of TV sets is also in use also keeps growing. In 1946, there were about 6,000 television sets in use in the United States. So that's in 1946. In 1951, that's only 5 years later, there were 12 million. So you can do the math there. 6,000 to 12 million. So that means that's some pretty big place value work to do there. But to go from 6,000 to 12 million, that is quite a jump. That is 11,994,000 more. So 11,994,000 more TVs in 6 years. That's a lot of TVs. As more people watched, more shows were added. By 1962, around 49 million U.S. households had televisions in their home. Today, 99% of homes have a television. Some even have 3 or more. So if you are in a home like mine, you have a television. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so important close reader habits. Underline the most important ideas in each paragraph, then look for the key details. If we go up through here, so paragraph 1, most important ideas, 1939, he showed that it was possible for pictures to be sent on TV. Paragraph 2, you can't say that any one person made the TV. Paragraph 3, at the 1939 World Fair, TVs were shown for the first time, and the first show was President Roosevelt. Paragraph 4. I think the most important thing there is the different kinds of shows. The first a baseball game was put on TV, and they also started showing news shows, children's shows, comedies. The reason that's important is that's, pretty much what is shown today. Paragraph 5. The number of TVs. I think the most important thing in paragraph 5 is going to be the growth of TVs, just how quickly everybody started getting TVs. Alright, so now we're going to read this second story, Should We Watch TV by Zach Shimek. That's on page 329. What do you do in your free time? If you say watch television, you are not alone. About 99% of American households own a television. Hold up. If you look back a page, that was literally the last sentence on the last story. So there's one comparison. They both mention that 99% of American households own a TV. So that's probably a true statement then. The airwaves are flooded with all kinds of programs. There are hundreds of channels to choose from. That was also mentioned in the last story. And there is so much to see. You can watch a tiger hunt in a jungle, something you might never see in person. You can visit the bottom of the ocean or cruise in outer space from your sofa. You can learn how to do new things, such as cook. TV is also a good way to relax. Watching a funny show can be relaxing. But do Americans watch too much television? One study said that the average person watches 4 hours each day. If that person lived to be 65 years old, he or she would have watched TV for 9 years. Wow. Watching television doesn't require effort. All you have to do is sit and watch. When children watch TV, they are not playing and running. They aren't playing games or solving problems. Also, children who watch a lot of TV tend to eat more junk food, including chips and soda. So watching a lot of TV can be bad for your health. Watching a little television each day isn't harmful. It might even make you smarter. But if you're watching for 4 hours a day, think about doing something else. Alright, so in this close reader habits, it says, underline the important ideas that are like those in history of television. So, draw a wavy line under important ideas that are new. So, we talked a little bit about those. This 99% of American households in the first paragraph, and that there's lots of different programs, that is the same as the last story. But what's different in this one, the wavy lines would go under comments that talk about how, like starting in paragraph 3, 4, and 5 talk about how watching too much TV can be bad for you. So that is the big difference there. Paragraph 2 does mention a little bit of how TV's good. So that's also comparing, compared to the last story, it mentions what is good about television. So let's scroll down and do our questions on page 330. Question 1 says, what choice best describes what authors wrote, History of Television? Why the author wrote History of TV. That's the first story. To tell why David Sarnoff was important to TV, to show how television has grown since 1939, to describe the types of programs, or to prove that people watch too much TV. Well, right away I can say it's not C and it's not D, because that was the second story, right? That talked about more of the types of programs and to prove that people watch too much. Part of the story talked about why David Sarnoff was important to TV. It did mention his name in the first paragraph and in the second and third one. Okay? But if I had to pick the main thing, I would go with B, to show how television has grown since 1939. Part 2, two answers, A and B. Which is one of the most important ideas of should we watch TV? Is it A, television shows make you smarter, watching too much can be harmful, the number of TVs in your home increases each year, or a wide variety of programs available on TV? I'm going to say the most important idea, definitely not C, so we can scratch off that bad answer right away, and we're going to go with B, because they talked about how watching too much TV can be bad for you. So now we're going on to part B, which two details support the answer in part A. So we're looking for two sentences to talk about it, TV being bad for you. Let's see. Sentence A, flooded with all kind of programs, not about being bad for you. B, 99% of houses have a TV. Nope. C, one study shows the average person watches 4 hours a day. Maybe. D, watching a little TV each day isn't harmful. Watching television doesn't require effort. and so watching a lot of TV can be bad for your health. I'm going to go with the two that most talking about it being harmful is going to be E and F, because it talks about how it doesn't require much effort and it can be bad for you. If there's a third option, I'd go ahead and pick C, about talking about watching it for 4 hours. Number 3, which of the following ideas is found in both passages? D, most households in America have a television. That was at the end of the first passage and the beginning of the second. Number 4, which best describes the difference between the two? The first passage describes the history of television, and the second passage explores whether watching TV is good or bad. So that's going to be D. Okay, so D is the best answer there. Number 5, talk about it. In which passage would you find information about how TVs have changed? I hope you've talked to somebody about that. And which one would you use to learn how TV has affected us? And then, if you haven't had a chance, go ahead and write your short response. What are 2 things you learned in Should We Watch TV that you didn't learn in History of Television? So my answer is I learned that we watch for an average of 4 hours a day, which can total to like 9 years of watching TV. So that's crazy. Alright, so that is just the way I would walk through these kind of lessons. Your quiz is going to be on pages 334 through 336. And your quiz on Google Classroom is it's honestly from the book 337, 338. It's just a way for me to see your answers. Alright? Alright, I hope you guys are doing okay. I'm going to play a little bit of Minecraft. Probably don't have much time left before I run out of time here. So let's see. We got to smelt some ore so I can make an iron pickaxe. So I've had a rough go of it this morning. Actually, when I saved my game, I had run out of food. So when I turned it back on, I got killed by a skeleton. And then I spawned in another village far away from here, and then I had to find I found 2 new villages before I finally was able to make my way back home to the house. So luckily we made it home. I did find a cauldron today, so that's pretty cool. We've got to figure out what it's, and a barrel. I don't know what to do with this barrel or this cauldron. We'll see. I don't know. If nothing else, I've got them now. Alright guys, one more day of NTI till spring break. It's so exciting. Hope you're doing okay. I hope you're staying safe, staying healthy, staying home. Right, we got a social distance. I miss you guys. I love you guys. Talk to you later. See you on Google Classroom. Bye.